Some of you expressed concern about the length of these videos. For your convenience, check out the table of contents on the right-hand side. Feel free to start at the beginning and work your way through the video for some awesome in-depth insights. But if you see what you came for, or just want to see something over that you didn't catch the first time, please feel free. And as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hey guys, and welcome back to Crash Course, where we basically teach you everything there is to know about playing StarCraft. We're continuing with our Zerg lessons today, and we're going to be covering quite a variety of topics. We're going to start really basic, because StarCraft always begins at a fundamental level. However, we're going to then take those fundamentals and run absolutely batshit with them. Hope you're ready. Anyways, we're going to go right on in to a little test map, and this is going to talk a lot about rallying and whatnot. So let's just pull these links off the map real quick, and we'll take a look here. This is your rally. So if you have a bunch of hatcheries and whatnot, you're going to have a lot of white lines going to the same point. That's assuming that you have all your hatcheries on the same hotkey. So if we were to, come over here, add a couple extra hatcheries just for fun. Yeah, I know you like that. Alright, so like I said, just for fun, we now have 3 different rallying lines. Now, let's say we make Zerglings from each of these groups. Boom, 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 boom. And they're rallying basically where they were told to, right here. Now, I am doing a lot of different micro stuff here, and I want to break down what all of that is at this point. First things first, we're talking about rallying. So that is the process of things coming out of your production facilities and going where you want them. What we have right here is basically a rally to home position, and we're going to be exploring a couple of different positions over the course of this video. Alright, so we've seen a at-home rally position. That is what we're looking at now. I've added some extra Zerglings to the mix, and we're basically looking now at, holy crap, that's a lot of units. Do I click each one individually, or what do I do? Like, wow, I gotta click each one of these to move them? Well, I assume that most of the players watching this actually know about boxing, but we are going to delve into this a little bit in more detail. Now, when I say boxing, I am referring to this green shape. You notice it looks like a box? That selects all your units. You can then move them left, right, however you want to move them. And you can even do really tricky stuff like this. See? We're now spreading our units out using a technique called small boxing. And, we can bring them all back home. Whatever. Big box. So, with that being said, imagine these are not Zerglings. Imagine these are really fragile Marines, and there's a wave of Banelings coming in from over in this direction. Now, I'm no Terran player, and that was not the best split in the world, but all things considered, these things are not going to take as much damage from Baneling shots because they're spread out. Banelings, they're only going to explode and kill so much stuff. That basically would have taken out that area. Now, of course, these were friendly units, so they didn't kill anything at all, but you're beginning to see why it's good to be able to do this small box technique. Big box, of course, would allow you to bring everything in, maybe send things out. Say you wanted to attack this bottom right corner of the map right here. Well, all of a sudden, you don't have to worry about individual clusters units. You can spread them out. Another cool technique about splitting your units that's very similar to small boxing is, let's right click all the units over here. Boom, boom. Now we have a split. Pretty good split there. We sent the major group to one location, that was this one here, and then in the process of traveling, we just peeled off layers and layers of that. Let's try that one more time, just so you guys can see it again. And we're going to right click here, peel off a small layer, peel off that small layer, take a couple of these out of the group, bring these over here, and boom, we've got an even better split. And you guys did see a couple of techniques we're going to talk about a little bit later there, but again, you see the overall goal is splitting your units. There's a lot of different reasons you're going to want to do this. The banelings there were just one example. However, this is how you would do it with just boxing. We see small box versus big box. One other thing you always want to know about boxing is there is a technique to it. According to day 9, at least, you always want to start your box in the top left corner, because your wrist is built in such a way that it's easier to do this than it is to do this. Now, I think that depends more on preference. If you already got the mouse there, you can grab it here or grab it here. But what you never, absolutely ever want to do is this. Try it. Try it with your mouse right now. This is ridiculously awkward. Maybe if you're a left-handed player or something that I don't know about. I'm right-handed myself, so I definitely prefer the top left or bottom left grab. But moving left to right is a lot easier than moving right to left. So let's just keep that in mind when you're doing the small boxing technique, trying to learn that. And I think you'll have a lot more success. We're going to bring these on back home again and move right on into the next section. Now, there are issues with boxing. Mostly head trauma. No, wrong kind of boxing. Sorry, guys, Shaft is completely off his rocker today. Anyway, the major problems with boxing is it just takes so friggin' long. I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta come over here, I gotta come over here. That took me like 7 or 8 seconds, and that's just not good. Sure, MVP or whatever could probably do that a lot quicker than I do. But most people do have issues with that, and that's why boxing is not quite as heavily used as maybe it should be. And I'm just playing with the links here a little bit, showing even further how hard it is to split things up. But what you really want to realize from this is that there are alternatives to boxing, and namely that's going to be control groups. You see, I've already set up a control group number 1 with all of our Zerglings in it, and that it basically takes the place of the big box. You're still only see, you can hear me clicking that's following them around. Double clicking your control group will always make it go to that control group. So say I have these hatcheries on 2, double tap 2, double tap 1, double tap 2, double tap 1, double tap 2. There's camera location keys that work very, very similar to this. But yes, you have all these units in a control group. Well, this can be both good and bad. Say, you have half these units where, you're running against banelings, say. You're running them towards banelings, one baneling goes off, and you lose the whole army. Well, that's bad. And control groups there's only 10 control groups, so you can't hotkey this small contingency, this small contingency, this small contingency, this small contingency. It just becomes too much to try microing all at once. So what you want to do is, double tap one, get yourself locked on. I'm gonna move them over here, and that was with a control group. And now I'm surrounding them. Let's say there's a big base here. I wasn't sure if there was banelings. There's not any. Boom. I had everything converge. I started off, I'm going to do it again. I started off with the control group selected, right-clicked on where I wanted to go, double-tapped it again, and started splitting. And then hit attack and go. And they would then surround whatever they're going. Now, you could obviously time that a lot better. I had 3 different forces arrive at 3 different times. But again, the premise is there. Just being able to split, surround, doing all kinds of fancy shenanigans that your opponent may not be aware of. Now, for those of you not familiar with control groups, there's basically 3 things you're going to need to know. In order to create a control group, you want to select the units. We're only going to select 5 here. Hold Control and press the number that you want to create the control group on. In this case, it's Control 1. You saw that number changed over to 5. It just rebound over my old hotkey. I could do that on 3, and this is both 1 and 3. There's not really much reason to want to do that, but it's there if you wanted. Let's send these back over here to the original control group and rebind this. Well, actually, we've got 5, right? So you can see the yellow circles around these 5, how I have them selected. Now I'm deselecting those in favor of this bigger group. Watch this. I'm holding Shift and I'm going to press 1. That will then add all the other units to this original control group rather than rebinding it. This is Shift 1 compared to Control 1. Boom, I'm back at 28 Zerglings. Everything is selected and I can bring it all back around. Really cool, huh? Well, check this out. Let's say there's a Zelnaga tower over here. Actually, I can build one. Pretty sure I can build one. Oh, come on. I used to be able to build one. What happened? Anyways, let's just say there's a Zelnaga tower here. So I want to send a Zergling over there to it. Boom. Right-click where it's going. Shift-click 1. That actually removes the Zergling out of the group. I'm going to show you guys that again in small range, and then we'll do it in big range. So boom, he's no longer selected. See how he gets left behind? Boom. Real simple. Gonna do it again, and again, and again. I'm not being too precise with my clicks here, so I'm actually messing some up. I'm gonna show you in a second how there's a much easier way to do this. But as you can see, I'm slowly but surely splitting out lings. Pretty cool. Well, now I've got them all selected back again. Cool. Well, you can actually click lings out of control groups down here too. Boom. 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 Kind of see they're all splitting out. Cool deal. Well, now let's say there's a Zelnaga tower, or I want a Zergling at my opponent's third to know when he takes his third. That's really common. What you want to do is right-click their third, boom, hold Shift, click a Zergling, hit Control and 1. You don't ever want that Zergling moving around with this army again, so you rebind the group as Control 1 after Shift-clicking out the original unit. That way you can spam 1 all you want, but that mug is still going to stay there. See, he's not moving at all. Cool. Now, just like boxing, there are some downfalls to control groups, and that's what this next setup is designed to show you. Where boxing is kind of slow as far as, splitting and different things like that, and, you always have to have, a whole screen depicting all your units, otherwise, you're just bouncing from here to here to here to here, grabbing units, and, well, here, let's even show you. From here grabbing units, from here grabbing units. Imagine not being able to use a control group here. You eventually, get things to converge, and yeah, I mean, that's slow, okay? So a control group saves you from having to do all that. However, say you have all your queens on one hotkey, as most players do. They do use the backspace method most of the time. But you know, let's say for instance you do have all your queens hotkeyed on one key. That's what we're going to do now. Just bound them all to one key. That leaves you to inject, you to inject, you to inject. But you know, the other one's just sitting there. Let's say he wants to spread some creep. Well, you know, creep spread is almost instantaneous here, but in a normal game that would have taken a lot longer. Say he wants to, you know, or say your queens are out of energy. Like say this one's out of energy, but you know, these two down here have some they can spare. Well, if you have all your stuff, see how they're walking across creep? You know, these guys are really slow. You can have queens basically running from here to here to here, and you have little control of it if you're just, you know, going from base to base to base based on these hotkeys. You cannot determine exactly where these queens are going to be coming from. Usually it will choose the queen with the highest energy at the closest hatchery, but sometimes the closest hatchery doesn't have the most available energy. And that's always something you want to be a little bit leery of. So with all that being said, you know, you don't want to always just grab this and try to defend with all your queens, because see, this one's really slow coming to defend. Your queens are showing up at different times. Now let's say I try to send them all over here. Well, I'm also missing injects. You know, at some of these I should only really have these 3 queens, but I'm pulling queens I don't need. I'm missing injects, which really wrecks my chance of actually defending this attack, were I actually being attacked. So what you really want to do when it comes to queens, let's go ahead and redistribute these, 2 to every base, is use 1 queen to inject at home. And this is for defensive situations, by the way, guys. Use 1 queen to inject at home, and then bring the other one to wherever you're defending. That, again, leaves your queens free to inject, and you can then box, hold control, and grab. By the way, that'll grab all units of that type. See? Boom, boom, boom. Check it out. It's basically the same as a double click. Or, you know, you can just box and then grab these and target down a medevac. Say it's a medevac Reaper, medevac with Hellbat drops. Okay? So, you know, these guys are going in to defend the... You can't just defend with Hellbats. So they're going into... Or you can't just defend Hellbats with Lings. Sorry, guys, getting tongue-tied. You're gonna need something to target down the medevac, because the medevac will not take any damage from Lings, but it will keep the Hellbats alive. So you basically need to buffer for your queens long enough for them to kill the medevac. So you'll hit attack your location. Let's say it's right here. Hold control to grab these queens, and then target your medevac. These will buy time for the queens, soak up some shots from the Hellbats, do whatever they need to while the queens force the medevac out. A good player will get the medevac out, but the drop is stopped. Your goal in situations like this is not usually to kill anything, it's simply to stop anything of yours from being killed, at least anything valuable. And, you know, that's always worth a couple extra clicks. Now, if you had tried doing this with queens and missed your injects, your opponent would have got a huge advantage simply from your lack of production. It's just something there to keep in mind. A healthy combination of boxing plus control groups will always be your best bet. It's going to be up to you how to decide how to use them. For instance, here's another example of pretty good use of control groups plus boxing. Here's Lings plus Banelings. So let's say, you know, we're going over here, then we're going to come back over here. Well, here we go. Well, you don't want to send your Banelings in front of your Lings. Let's say this is a, you know, a Verse Terran with Widow Mines. So I just sent my Lings forward. How did I do that? Same control group, control 1, but I'm right-clicking where I want them to go, holding control and either grabbing on screen or down here at the bottom, and right-clicking somewhere else. Boom. Still the same control groups, but we slow things down and reposition. Boom. Guys, starting to get it now? Hope so. This is definitely something you'll want to practice, but it's very beneficial. Now, there's one other thing you should kind of be wary of, because these splits are very beneficial on certain types of terrain. In particular, we're going to be talking about ramps and choke points. Let's go ahead here to a choke point. We're going to have basically the same unit composition here. Now, let's say that our opponent is here. Let's say they have stalkers kind of surrounding us. Well, if we're attacking into that, ouch. Dude, those stalkers have a much better concave. They're going to be firing on all my units when all my units are still trying to get in position because of this tight little choke point. These will be targeted down before they ever reach it, and these don't have a chance of even reaching it because of the same thing that's just layer by layer peeled off. Now, the same thing is true in reverse. Say the stalkers are coming down this hallway. Well, if my queens are left to their own devices, I'm going to show you what will happen. Alright, so we'll take it slow. And queens left to their own devices. Watch how long this actually takes. I mean, that was not good positioning at all. Only like these four were actually attacking. You saw how that was kind of bad. Now, if we reposition everything using these techniques we've been talking about, go ahead and pre-set up our concave just by splitting. Watch what happens to the Ling this time. Well, Shaft made a mistake there, guys. Sorry about that. Let's try it again. It is actually key to time this right, but luckily for you, you'll have an actual opponent rather than trying to target your own units, so the timing will kind of be automatic. Basically, this Ling shooting through here will automatically draw aggro. Boom. See how all 6 of those were firing at once? That's pretty good. So concaves are a really, really good thing to set up. You do it just by splitting your units. 3 small groups around an opening will do just fine. Moving on, we will be taking a look now at ramps, which are very, very similar, in fact, to what we were just showing with chokes and whatnot. The major difference being that you have high ground, so your opponents actually have to be, you know, basically up here, up beyond this line right here, in order to be able to see you. If they do see you, then they can start attacking you from any location. But let's say, you know, these are Marines without a medevac. One Marine will have to go up here while the rest are shooting from, you know, this position. Once this one Marine dies, well, these can no longer see. A medevac, however, will change that, revealing the high ground. Then these two can be targeted off. However, just for basic concave purposes, this works just like a choke point. Say we have this Ling coming up. Let's bring these two a little closer. Well, I missed the Ling there, but again, in your games, you're not going to have to worry about it being a friendly unit you're trying to kill. So, try that again. Yeah, so close enough. Hopefully you get the idea. But what we're going to move on to now is going to tie in all these different aspects of Zerg. So check this out. There's one last thing I want you to know about control groups before we proceed to that part. First things first, we're going to need 2 more hatcheries. Boom. Boom. And beautiful. Alright, so let's make ourselves... Huh, interesting. I have 5 hatches now. Not sure how it works. Probably a bug in this little arcade game, but that's fine. what we're doing here is going to be creating a new army. We still have this army. Let's move it on down. Let's say we want to add some Ultralisks to it. Now, you saw how those Ultralisks, well, basically build instantly. That's, again, part of the arcade game that we're using to show this. But I haven't added them to any control group. Say they're still eggs. Actually, I might even be able to turn that off. Hold on. Alright, so we've got our 3 hatches. We've got an already existing Ling army. Well, let's rally all of our units here, because we don't want to have to, you know, constantly be coming, you know, looking at this one spot while we're microing over here trying to kill our opponent, you know, doing our little thing. And then we're creating some units, let's say they're Ultralisks. Well, we're going to have to keep checking back over here, see if they're done, or, you know, watching the minimap, waiting for the units to spawn. We're microing ourselves, we're hitting our injects, you know, things are looking good here for us, and we're still just waiting on these reinforcements. You know, we have really no idea except our own intuition as to how long it's going to take these units to finish. Oh, finally! You know, we see them on the minimap, we come back over here, we hit Shift 1 to add them to our control group, and now we send them back to the attack. Well, that's all well and good. Oh, here are our Ultralisks. Cool, let's add those to our group. And we're just sending them all around the map again. Well, there's a better way of doing this. Now, there are pros and cons to this, like anything else, but here's the idea. Zerg is the only race that can benefit from this. Add your friggin' eggs that you know are going to be army to your control groups. So, let's say I'm building a couple more Ultralisks. I hold control to select all of one type that grabs all the building eggs that I know are Ultralisks, because that's the only key I pressed. Hit Shift 1. See, it went from 33 to 37. Boom! These are my 4 Ultralisks. Cool deal. And boom. They're going to rally to wherever I've sent my other units. Kinda cool, huh? Now this will only work for right clicks and move commands. Attacking, not so much. But that's fine as well. Now, this can be good, this can be bad. Let's say, for instance, Big Baneling Busk destroys most of, you know, our Zerglings. Pretty sure there's a way to delete things around here somewhere. Oh well, doesn't matter. Okay, so let's say we were to lose this, and all we've got, let's say we lose this whole army, and we're still trying to apply the pressure. There's like 2 Ultralisks still here, and we're just using this control group method, reinforcing with Zerglings. So we've got, you know, just 2 Ultras here on the map, and we're reinforcing with those Zerglings. Well, they're gonna come here, and by that time the Ultra should probably be dead unless it's that close of an engagement, and you're just gonna rally in small streams of units at a time, and usually they'll be coming from different places, so they'll come in at far different times, and then, you know, you're sending in 1-2 units at a time. Well, you play the Swarm! You need overwhelming numbers. You need an army like this we had here. So in this particular case, that would have been bad to do. But for the most part, it makes having to worry about rallying at home not really a big deal. You know, you rally at home, that way your overlords are going there, your units will always come over here. Now, there's a couple of bad things that you also need to avoid. You don't want to build Zerglings and drones, grab the cocoon, add it to your group, and then start, you know, attacking or defending or whatever. Because watch what happens. Oh my god, drones are attacking! Yeah, nobody's actually scared of that. So always make sure you're building army or